I would describe both Lou and Mike as dedicated in every sense.
I would say that their intellect and their commitment to truth and kindness are probably their strongest attributes.
What I noticed about both of them was just how driven they were. You know, they had this goal in mind, this is what they were going to do, and it wasn't clear how to get it done, but they were going to stick with it until they figured it out.
Basically, it was a need that was there for a long, long time in medicine. People with horrible wounds that they can't heal. And that's what started this whole thing.
I would come up with something in the lab. Lou would try it on a patient, come back and say these 3 things are good, these 4 things are bad, and I'd go and try and get rid of the bad things. But gradually the bad things went away and the good things came to the forefront, and 10 million patients later, here we are.
Dr. Argenta is a very fine medical doctor, and Dr. Morykwas is a very fine research scientist. And so I've really enjoyed getting to know them, you know, and along with all the success we've had, it's been a great chance to get to know two great professionals.
So you have a surgeon, they have a really deep understanding of the clinical need. They don't really have a deep understanding of how to make the devices work and what makes a difference in the device. And vice versa. You have the engineer who really can speak to the device area, but lacks that deep, nuanced understanding of the clinical problem. When you get those 2 disciplines together, really powerful things happen.
The impact of the VAC has been phenomenal. It has been truly one of the greatest medical inventions ever made.
The VAC actually is a very simple device. It's a sponge. You put it in wherever the wound is. It has a little tube that comes out that goes to a computer-controlled pump. You seal it with it's called a thin film dressing. It's like saran wrap with glue on one side. And when you apply the vacuum to the sponge, it collapses. So it shrinks down and it pulls on all the tissue.
I always describe it as sort of an infinite number of sutures. Literally every molecule is connected to every molecule under the drape, and everything's pulling together.
They're both fabulous people. Dr. Argenta he's a surgeon, so he's a little bit gruff, but deep down in, he's a really, really nice guy. He's done all kinds of good for the world. He's done surgeries, he travels to do free surgeries, he's given money to set up orphanages, and he does all of this stuff anonymously. Michael Morykwas, he's a little quieter. He's not a surgeon, he's a PhD researcher, but he's a very, very compassionate man. And through the whole course of defending these patents, if we ever needed anything done, you could always call Michael Morykwas, and he would say, give it to me, when do we need it by? And he would get it done.
Well, in its early days, I think people who had not used it found it very hard to believe that anything as simple a concept as what they had designed and implemented could have any profound effect on wound healing. And in many ways, it's sort of like the screwdriver and a pair of pliers, quite simple, but phenomenally useful to a wide world of people.
Yeah, the very first patient, we put the VAC on him on a Friday evening, and the reason we had permission to try it on him was they didn't think it'd make it to Monday. And Monday he was doing way better and he did great and went home, and really that kept us going is because we knew it worked and we had faith and we just kept working at it.
First thing is that everybody tells you it's a stupid idea, will never work. And we had people told us endlessly it was stupid and we didn't know what we were doing. And then when it starts working, the concept is, well, you know, it's not as great as they say it is. And then the third step is that, what the heck, I did that years before they did. And the reality of it is that it's 99% work and 1% thinking.
Lou's personality is a personality that I gravitate to. It's one that you have no question what he thinks or what he believes or his position. He's about as far away from being duplicitous as one can get. And Mike is tremendously intelligent, very focused personality from my perspective, have devoted a lot of his time to non-for-profit organizations. I've interacted with him because of our mutual interest in Boy Scouts. I know no one more dedicated to the things that he feels strongly about.
My nephew was in the military. He was deployed to Afghanistan and unfortunately got in an accident. And my brother-in-law called and he said, "Julie, you're just never going to believe it. They put the vac on David." And so there was this, wow, I had this direct personal impact on a family member. And it was just, even right now when I'm talking about it, I still get goosebumps.
So Dr. Argenta is one of the nicest gentlemen that I've ever met. He's a wonderful doctor. He just tells you what he thinks. Some people don't like that, but I do. There's ever any hidden agendas. He's just a good man.
One of the things I've been most impressed with Mike is he's always intellectually curious. There's just no satiation with him. It never gets to the point where, you know, he tells me let's get on to something else or do something else. And he's always enthusiastic.
There was a patient that had a chronic wound that would not heal for 47 years. And within a few months of using the vac on that wound, it was healed.
At least within the medical community of Wake Forest, I can't think of two faculty members who have made greater contributions than Lou and Mike. As the highest award of Wake Forest University, I think they're very deserving of the Medallion of Merit.
So when you talk about the motto of Wake Forest for humanity, and the goal at Wake is to have people that do things for humanity, that's what Dr. Argenta and Morykwas have done for all of humanity.